When you think of accounting and finance, what comes to mind? Don't worry, this is not my course. I have something just a little more special planned for you. Do you want to learn about accounting and finance in a way that you've never been taught before? Of course you do. My visual approach will teach you everything you need to know, and it will be a lot of fun. In fact, you'll wonder why you weren't taught this way in school. Oh, and if you get a moment, please check out the student reviews to see how so many people have enjoyed the learning experience. And you know what the best part is? No experience is necessary to take this course. So if you don't know how to model and value a company, analyze a cash flow statement, or understand the difference between growth and value investing, not to worry. We will cover all of those concepts from scratch. So why should you learn accounting and finance from me? I have an MBA in finance from Columbia University. But more importantly, I have work experience in the real world, from Goldman Sachs to several hedge funds, to venture capital and consulting firms. I've raised and managed over $1 billion in my career. Now I'm passionate about sharing my knowledge and experience. My life has turned full circle, from my own education to my experience in business, to investing in and founding several companies. Instead of teaching boring finance and accounting theory, I teach based on my own real-life practical experience, and it has led me right here to you. I want you to understand how to create, analyze, and forecast an income statement, a balance sheet, and a cash flow statement. I want you to thoroughly understand and enjoy finance and accounting so that you can be inspired to achieve all of your career goals. I have the tools needed to get the job done. So let's do it. I'll see you in class. Welcome to our 257th weekly office hours webcast. You can ask me anything. You can ask me business questions, investing questions, career questions. My humble goal in this entire process is to humbly help you take your career, your portfolio, your company, etc. to the next level. Now, please keep typing your questions. Later on today during this webcast, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about 5 crucial investing tips. I'm also going to talk about how to ask your boss for a raise or a promotion. Great tips there. Yeah. So let me go to your questions. Let me turn the air conditioning on here. It's a little bit hot in here with all the lights. All right. First up, I've got this was late last night. Motivation Station wrote, if someone gets into IIM, which is the Indian Institute of Management, should he or she opt in for the brand name? Yeah. So IIM is a great school. According to the Financial Times, it's ranked 50th to 60th in the world in terms of MBA programs. Now, I'm going to answer this generically to apply to everybody on this call. Should you get a graduate degree? Should you go back to university? Well, what you need to do, first of all, is think about why you want to go back to school in the first place. If it's to change careers, then what I recommend doing before you consider going back to school is setting up 100 informational meetings. That's right, 100. With people on LinkedIn that have something in common with you, that work in the field that you're most interested in. And if you set up 100 meetings and you still can't get that coveted job or change careers, then get an MBA if you want to from a traditional school or a great school like IIM. And I say 100 meetings because think about each meeting as costing you $1,000. The average MBA costs $100,000. It's a 2-year program. You lose income for 2 years as well because you're not working. So 1,000 meetings, $1,000 times 100 meetings is $100,000. So I would do that. Now, in terms of setting up your informational meetings, you can download my networking book for free from my website. It's harounmba.com. Hopefully that helps. And if you have additional questions, please let me know. Thanks. And in hindsight, for me, I did my MBA at Columbia University. But I did it because I sent out 2 resumes to investment banks, Morgan Stanley and TD. And they both rejected me. So I thought, hey, I have to get an MBA. But that was before I knew about networking. Last thing I'll say on this is that for every job opening that you see online, there's literally a 1 in 250 shot of you getting that job. Now, the person that ultimately gets that job knows somebody that works at the company. So these are the new rules of career guidance. So you got to set up a ton of informational meetings. It's free to do as well. All right. Next up, Enderben, great to see you. You wrote why you kept the name SMC classes. That's part of my MBA program, Sales, Marketing, Communications. Why did you keep them as Act 1, Act 2, Act 3? Just curious. Yeah. I wanted to make it fun, like it was like you're going to a theater. And so in that portion of the MBA program, I'm teaching you how to present and how to communicate with passion right from the heart. So I had a lot of fun with it. Thank you for asking. All right, next up, the Berlin wrote, how's the family? And have you been well? I'm awesome, thanks. And I hope you're doing well as well. And it's awesome that your daughter is doing an internship with me right now. She is unbelievable. Yeah, I do virtual internships. I'm also doing a virtual internship with another student from Texas. Yeah. Okay. And if anybody in my MBA program has kids that want to do an internship, what you can do is just email support@harounventures.com. It's a virtual internship. Happy to help. Unpaid. Yeah. Because all my money goes to building schools. And by the way, as many of you know, we just started working on our next school. We secured the land in Kenya. We start construction next year. All right, moving on to the Berlin wrote here, Chris, I want to present you my cousin Salvador. He's from Mexico and he's agricultural and he's studying agriculture engineering and he's had a few questions for you. Absolutely, please. I'm more than happy to help if I can. So please type those questions. Next up, Yule wrote, hey, Chris, glad to see you doing your thing. Thank you. First time I've seen you on the call. I hope you join us again. And then you wrote here, can you talk about ways of hiding income and liabilities through trusts and forming corporations? Yeah, instead of hiding, probably a better term, I say this with love of my heart, is how to find tax advantages. So very wealthy people, they pay less tax than other people. And that's one of the reasons that they're very wealthy and have stayed wealthy. In fact, the top 400 families in the United States pay less than 25% tax per year. It's not fair, but it is what it is. So what they do is they all hire tax lawyers. Now, what I recommend doing if you want to limit the amount of taxes that you pay for your company or personally is get a great accountant. Okay, and the best way to get a great accountant, there's no Yelp for accountants, is to ask your successful friends and family members who their accountant is and get a cold or warm introduction that way. Yeah, don't anybody do your own taxes, please. Doing your own taxes is like doing surgery on yourself. That was kind of a harsh comment there. The CPA designation, the accounting designation, is something that I really respect because the laws change all the time. Never do your own taxes. Now, in terms of getting a tax lawyer, the most affordable way to do this is to go to LegalZoom.com and set up a meeting with a lawyer there. It costs you about $30 or $35 per half-hour call. They talk really slowly, though. I'm just kidding. Yeah. Okay. All right. Next question. Give me 1 second here. Robert wrote, hey, Robert, wrote, would you differentiate the silver versus gold program? Yeah, the MBA program. Is gold the same with the on-demand content? And then he wrote, happy holidays and look forward to your empowering classes each week as well. Thank you. And God bless you. And happy holidays to you and everybody on this call as well. So I'll show you very quickly. So if I go to my website, and you can go there with me if you want to, go to harounmba.com/FAQ. So here are the differences between the silver, gold, and platinum MBA degree programs. So the content is the same for all three. Silver, you can start right now. It's like Netflix, you have lifetime access, and it's this much here. Now, in terms of gold and platinum, you can get 25% off for the next 3 days only. If you're curious, there's a 30-day 100% money-back guarantee. And the contents of gold and platinum are the same as silver, except I teach it live, meaning I'll play a lesson and then I'll take questions. And I do that multiple times. So it equals about 200 hours of live Q&A. And that's the gold program and platinum program. The platinum program has everything gold has, except you also get 9 one-on-one meetings with me. And the prices are going up next year. This one is as well. I'm going to keep it at $24.99 next year, but I've got a higher tier product I'm adding as well for more consulting fees. Yeah. All right, let me go back here to Wirecast, and let me get the next question here. And thank you. All right. Next up, Stoic Mindset wrote, "Hello, I'm Oliver. Oliver, great to meet you. First time I see you on the call. I hope you join us again." You wrote here, "As a high school student, I want to network in real estate and business to reach partners and mentors." Good for you. That's awesome. And my son, Andrew, who's at Berkeley right now, he's leveraging the Berkeley network, and he just did a one-on-one with a graduate from Berkeley that works at Apple. And I'm proud of him for that. He's older now. We all love blue. Yeah. So you got to network. Your network is your net worth. Then you wrote here, "How should I set up my LinkedIn account? And what other networking methods to use?" Yeah, if you want, you can go to harounmba.com and download this networking book. In terms of setting up a LinkedIn account, you can check out my courses. I talk about it in a lot of detail. In my MBA degree program, I also help you create your entire LinkedIn profile from scratch. And if you're in the platinum version, I actually write it for you. Yeah. All right. Next up, Ted wrote, "Merry Christmas, Chris." God bless you, Ted. Merry Christmas to you as well, brother. Thank you. We have so much to be thankful for, especially our health. Yeah. All right. And Kid, great to see you. All right. Next up, Jason wrote, "Good morning, Professor of Success. Humbly thank you." You wrote, "When applying for gold or platinum, you don't have to apply. You can just sign up." Yeah. "I want to make education affordable and accessible to everybody. You don't have to have any prerequisites to get in." Okay. You wrote, "When applying for gold or platinum, do I have to make every class? And will my current completion of the Silver MBA carry over?" Yes. The quizzes you've done in the Silver MBA will carry over. Now, the way I've structured the MBA program is there's 100 classes with 100 quizzes. And to pass, all you got to do is get over 50% on half of the quizzes. And I set it up that way because it's not fair for me to tell students to take every class. You might only be interested in learning about AI, so take the AI classes. You might only be interested in learning about finance, so take the finance classes. Same thing with entrepreneurship, etc. And so I think of myself as a waiter. And when you go to a restaurant, you look at the entire menu, but you only order one or two items. And that's what I feel like I am. I'm your humble waiter. I want to expose you to all types of business and all types of careers, whether it's programming in Python, which is coming to the MBA program next week, or whether it's starting your own company, etc. So just choose what you're interested in. My purpose, my passion, my raison d'être, my essence for being is to humbly help my students take their careers to the next level. Yeah. All right. Salvador, great to see you. Pleasure to meet you. And then RJ wrote, "Happy holidays, Chris." Likewise, same to you. God bless you. You wrote, "Hope all is well and wishing you an awesome 2024. Likewise. Now, for those of you that are thinking about setting New Year's resolutions, please do the following. Please write down 10 New Year's resolutions in your calendar on your iPhone or your Google handset and have that calendar item repeat all year long. And make sure to set a deadline date for your New Year's resolutions. And vocalize your goals as well, meaning tell your loved ones, etc. And that will put pressure on you. And again, I say with love in my heart, to get these done. Because your friends will ask you, in terms of your goal on writing a book, did you write that book yet as one of your resolutions? Yeah. And Tony Robbins, who I've met before, he's a great guy. He actually invested in one of my companies when I worked in BC. He's a good dude. When he came in to meet with the CEO of one of our portfolio companies, he had a security guard that was going like this the whole time. But he's the real deal. But Tony Robbins once said that 90% of people give up their New Year's resolutions by the third week of January because they don't set a deadline date. So set that deadline date, please. Yeah. And if anybody has New Year's resolutions you want to share with us all here, please let me know, including writing a book. And later on during this webcast, I'm going to talk a little bit more about writing a book and how easy it is and why it can help you take your career to the next level. So if anybody wants to share with us the fact they're writing a book as a goal for the next 6 months or so, write it down here. Okay. All right. And then next up, Will wrote, Merry Christmas, Chris. Thanks. Same to you, brother. And thank you. And I think you were one of the very first people on my webcast. You were on episode 1 and 2 and 3. I remember that. And I remember I brought McLovin Fake ID. And I asked everybody what movie it's from, and you got it right. So I called you McLovin. I think that's you. If it's not you, please let me know. Great to see you. All right. All right. Ted wrote, Chris, if you could meet one living person, anyone in the world, who would it be alive today? Oh, definitely Malala. Absolutely Malala. She's unbelievable. She's one of my heroes, and I want to meet her one day, and I'm going to interview her on this weekly webcast one day. Now I've said it, I've got to make it happen. I promise you it'll happen. She is unbelievable. And for those of you that don't know about Malala, I think it was in October of 2012. She got shot in the eye, actually, by the Taliban for demanding equal rights for education for women. And she's got so many unbelievable quotes. And she's inspired me to build my next school in Kenya. And it's going to be called the Leah Koros Memorial School for Girls. And so I'll give you more updates on that. I'm going to be going to Kenya and doing this weekly webcast from the school that we're building next year as well. So definitely would love to meet with Malala. Yeah. She said, with guns, you can kill terrorists, but with education, you can kill terrorism. Yeah, she's got a lot of great quotes. Okay, next up, Salvador wrote, do you know what taxes apply in the United States for the export of fruit from Mexico to the United States? This is what I need to fill the gap. That's right. That's your family business. I remember talking to your cousin about that. I'm not the right person to ask about that, but what I would do is definitely get an accountant that's familiar with Mexican and U.S. tax laws to help you. Yeah. Pardon me. Now, in terms of my company, the way I have it set up is I have an S corporation, so I can pass through a lot of my taxes. I'll never give anybody specific tax advice because I'm not a CPA, but please get an accountant. And this goes for everybody on this call, to do your own taxes, please. Yeah. All right. Next up, Salvador wrote here. Give me 1 second. What books, courses, or resources are recommended to take to learn more about exporting fruit to the United States? Yeah, I'm so sorry. I don't know the answer of that. I don't know. I'm so sorry. But the book I'm listening to right now on Audible is the Elon Musk book by Walter Isaacson. I highly recommend everybody listen to it. It is amazing. Yeah. Very intense guy. Okay. Oh my God, Peyton, how are you? Peyton wrote, you're the man. Hope all is well with you. I miss you, Peyton. Peyton Kalohe, who is from Hawaii. He used to live in San Diego with his family and Hannah and his 3 kids. He moved to Tulsa, Oklahoma about 2 years ago. It's always great to see you, man. Always great to see you. And if you want, come on to Zoom later on today. I'd love to introduce you to everybody, and you inspire me so much, brother. Okay. Next up, Manos from India wrote, good morning, my dear mentor. Chris, please. Merry Christmas. Thank you, brother. Same to you. Beforehand, because next, well, maybe you'll be off on holiday. Yeah. So I will have a meeting next week, a weekly webcast. But the first week of January, I'm going to be in Hawaii, where Peyton's from. Yeah. So there won't be a weekly webcast the first week of January. Also, I got to tell you all this. There's going to be 6 weeks at least where we're not going to be doing a webcast. There's something coming up that's really important to me, and that's going to be in 2025 because GTA 6 comes out in 2025. So dude, when that comes out, you're not going to see me. I don't exist to all of you for about 6 weeks. I can't wait for it. I've watched the trailer 8 million times. Peyton, who works in the video game sector, I'm sure you've watched a lot as well. I can't wait. Yeah. Vice City, baby. Okay. So Peyton wrote here, informational meetings can make you millions. Absolutely. It's the essence of business. You know, your network is your net worth. Yeah. And people want to help you as well. All you have to do is ask. And if you don't believe me, think about it this way. Imagine that it's, say, I don't know, 20 years in the future. And you're 20 years more successful than you already are today. and somebody reaches out to you who is just like you, but 20 years younger, and asks for a meeting, would you take that meeting? You're darn right you would. All you gotta do is ask. Ask and you'll receive. It's prophetic and it's been true since the beginning of time. All right. All right, next up, Bakari. Hey, Bakari, how are you? Bakari's one of my Platinum MBA students. He's currently in Minnesota. He played NCAA basketball at the University of Minnesota. He is 6'10" as well. And I want you to visit my house, please, because I want you to teach my kids how to play basketball. My kids love basketball. My son, Dylan, he scored a three-pointer last night, and I caught it on video. I can show you guys if you want. Yeah, proud papa. Yeah. Excellent. All right, next up, Peyton wrote, hope the kids are doing well. They're getting big fast, man. And for those of you with kids, by the time your child is 12 years old, you've already spent 90% of the time you'll ever spend with them. So spend every second with them, please. Yeah, nothing's more important. Yeah. Okay. And then you wrote, oh my God, it's so funny. You wrote this before I even mentioned this. You wrote, hope the kids are doing well and make sure you're warning your wife ahead of Grand Theft Auto 6 release. They all know. Yeah, they all know. Yeah. And the worst is when I'm playing a game and my kids sign on to the console and they play the game and they get through 5 or 6 more levels. I'm like, what, WTF? Why the face? It's not fair. Yeah. I got to put a password on my PS5. Moving on to Manos, who wrote, it's been a great week for sure, but sometimes like today, I felt we should take a break. Even middle of the week, some refreshing things should happen. What do you say? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Now, I think it's important to take off at least one day a week. It's the essence of many wonderful religions. God said you got to rest one day a week. Depending on your religion, it could be a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. And I do that as well. Yeah. In terms of midweek, I do that as well. I schedule stuff, so I exercise. And as many of you know, I get about 20 or 30,000 steps every single day in my office while I'm working because I've got a treadmill here. I don't have a job. I've got a passion. Yeah. And Confucius said, find an occupation you enjoy, and you'll never have a job for the rest of your life. Moving on to Jonas, who wrote, hey, Chris, I look forward to these office hours. Thanks. Hope you and the family are well. Likewise. Thank you. Thank you. Moving on to Alex. That's my godson's name, too, who wrote, hi, Chris. Could you give a high-level overview of the Python for Finance course that will be available soon? Yeah, absolutely. So it's coming out next week on my website. And for those of you in my MBA degree program, Silver, Gold, or Platinum, you get all electives for free. So I'm going to show you exactly where you're going to be able to access it. So what you got to do is go to, let's see here, go to learn.harounventures.com and I'm going to add it right here. Okay, and you'll get it for free. All my students in my MBA programs get my electives for free. So it'll be right here. Now, in terms of what's in it, everything is. We cover everything in Python from scratch. We got a beginner track, an intermediate track, and a genius track. And when I say we, I'm referring to one of my best friends, my brother from another mother, Luca Anderson, who spent a couple months with me at my house this year. He flew in from Serbia to create this course. So I can't wait to show it to you, but everything is included. And I use so many props to make this course as well, and I'm having a blast editing it. I'm almost ready to hit publish again. You can go to my website to get it. Okay. Next up, we got Caroline, who's in Nova Scotia in her second property she bought. Great investment. You wrote, always nice to see you, and thank you for the emojis, and God bless you. All right. And then Salvador wrote a question about exporting fruit from Mexico to the United States. Is it still profitable? What I recommend doing is talk to your cousin. He's got the link, and set up a Zoom call with me, and I'll help you one-on-one. Yeah, for free, of course. Yeah. Okay. Actually, talk to Berlin. She's got the link as well. She's interning with me. All right, next up, Manos wrote, my mentor, Chris, please. Market's been very high recently, and now maybe it's ATH. What do you say? Yeah, I'm a long-term investor. I remember I worked once at a hedge fund called Pequod, which is run by Art Sandberg. God bless me, passed away, I think, a year or two ago. And I remember it was 2007. And we were looking at the home builders, which I wanted to short, like Lennar, ticker LEN, and KBH as well. And my thesis, he asked, what's your thesis? And I said, well, the market is up a lot. And he stopped me. And he said this, I'll never forget it. He said, son. And then I said, you're not my dad. No. He said, son, I've been around long enough to understand never to try to time the market. Markets go up, markets go down. You can't time the peak or the trough. And that's why I'm a very long-term investor, which I'm going to talk about later on today when I talk about 5 investing tips. Yeah. And then the Berlin wrote, Chris, I'll talk to you later in my daughter's meeting. I think I have a one-on-one with your daughter today too. Cool. To you, my cousin, real quick, thank you. Have a great Christmas and Happy New Year's. Thank you. You too, brother. Have your Salvador come on that meeting as well. So please share the link with your cousin. We'd love to help. Okay. Manos wrote, and Manos has got, Manos Roy, he's got some of the highest rated AI courses on Udemy. He wrote, generative AI is bigger than AI in general. Does Renaissance technology use general AI or a dumb AI? Please give your restaurant example. Yeah, absolutely. So there's a great hedge fund called Renaissance Technologies. And it was founded back in the early 1980s by a former NSA employee named Jim Simmons. And he set up thousands of Linux servers running in parallel that use AI to pick stocks. Now, Renaissance's gross adjusted annual returns since the 1980s is 60%. It's unbelievable. Now, nobody knows what's in those Linux servers, but he's got basically, there's one basic example I could share with you, is that perhaps for restaurant stocks, he has AI products on those servers that analyze weather patterns. And so if it rains a lot, people don't go out to lunch or dinner at restaurants as much. So perhaps he could short restaurant stocks when that happens. But nobody knows what's in those black boxes or Linux servers running in parallel. It's heavily guarded. Yeah. Okay. Moving on to Hilda, who wrote, good morning and happy holidays, Chris. Same to you. Great to see you. You wrote, I'm a silver MBA student. Thank you. You wrote, how do I jump ahead to the LinkedIn section? I would love to work on updating my LinkedIn profile over the holidays. Absolutely. So what I want you to do is watch the following lectures in the first semester. In the personal growth track, watch PG 1-1 through PG 1-9. That's personal growth, semester 1, class 1, through personal growth, semester 1, class 9. And by the time you're done with class 9, your LinkedIn profile will be perfected and your LinkedIn and you'll be able to set up networking meetings. Yeah. And if you want, like every week at 10 a.m. my time, meaning in an hour and a half, I have a 1-hour Zoom call with just my silver students. And you can show me your LinkedIn profile if you want to during that meeting. Now, to get access to that link, meaning the Zoom meeting link, what you do is go to the very first lecture in your silver MBA degree curriculum. Thanks. Also, for all my MBA students, silver, gold, platinum, if you go to the last lecture of your MBA degree program, you'll be able to access my brand new ChatGPT for Finance course, which is only available on my website. Yeah. All right. All right. Next up, Plano B Life wrote, Merry Christmas, Chris. Same to you, and God bless you. Have a great holiday with your family. Thank you. And then you wrote, same to you. You wrote, do you think there's a possibility of having a single global monetary control center, as some people talk about? I don't think so. I mean, the U.S. is the biggest economy in the world, and I think it's less than 20% of global GDP. So I can't see that happening. Now, the U.S. dollar is still kind of thought of as the world's reserve currency or the lowest risk currency in the world. And the very last company on the planet to go bankrupt would be the US government. Now, the way to understand and know if the US dollar is no longer the reserve currency is if investment bankers and investors, when they value companies using discounted cash flow, which I teach in my MBA program, if they use a risk-free rate other than the United States Treasury interest rate. Now, many years ago, instead of using the US dollar as a reserve currency, people used LIBOR, which stood for London Interbank Offer Rate. But now more people use US Treasuries, usually the 5 or 10-year Treasury. Yeah, and if you want more details on that, I'm happy to talk about that in more detail. Yeah. Okay. All right, next question is from Manos, who wrote, what is the big difference between portfolio managers and a fund manager in general? It's the exact same thing. A portfolio manager and a fund manager, what they do is they manage a portfolio by managing a group of analysts that cover different sectors. For example, one analyst might cover, software stocks, another internet stocks, another telco stocks, another industrial stocks, healthcare stocks, consumer staples, retail, rinse, lather, repeat, that sort of thing. Yeah. And never invest in mutual funds, only buy ETFs, which I'll talk about later today. Yeah. All right. Jason wrote, I'm writing my book utilizing a shortened version of your plan. Awesome. Awesome. Thank you. Awesome. And I can't wait to read it. Let me know when it's published so I can buy it and bring it into the office. Manos, who just asked a question, wrote a book, I think a year or two ago, called Bonds Before Business, which I brought in and I showed to everybody as well. I have it. Yeah, I love it. And later on today, I'm going to talk about how to make a book in more detail. Yeah, costs you nothing. All right, next up, Manos wrote, how does a stock split work and why do we need it? Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of retail investors, they don't want to buy a stock, one share of a stock, if the price is, say, $1,000. So what happens is companies will split their stocks. So let's say instead of $1,000 per share, they might split it 10 for 1. So it's only $100 per share. But the market capitalization, meaning the value of the company, stays the same. So don't think that because a share is cut in half or 90% lower after a stock split, that the company is a better investment. And I used to work in the hedge fund industry. I remember I pitched to my portfolio manager back in 2003 when I worked at Kingdon Capital in New York. I said the upcoming catalyst for Activision, ticker ATVI, is a stock split. And he said, Chris, don't ever pitch something like that to me again because it gets priced in very quickly. Yeah. Okay, and there's enough hedge funds that do arbitration or ARBs, whatever, to be able to price that in immediately. Okay, and Salvador, you're most welcome. All right, next up, MTI. Oh my, it's been a while. Good to see you. You wrote, Tony Robbins is the real deal. He has a heart of gold just like you, Chris. No, thank you. Thank you. And then you wrote, you're both a rare find on this planet. God bless you. Thank you for everything you do. So grateful. Have a warm and joyous holiday season. Thank you for the best emoji ever made. This one too. Thank you. When I met with Tony the first time, it was in Potrero Hill at one of my portfolio companies. And I'll never forget, I shook his hand and I said, it's a pleasure to meet you, a real pleasure. And his hand wrapped around mine 8 million times. He's a big guy. And we had a nice little chat. Yeah, but he wouldn't remember me. Yeah. But he is the real deal. He has a heart of gold. He is the real deal. I love that guy. And he changed my life too. So I recommend, instead of taking my MBA degree program, I recommend taking the Unleash the Power Within program, UPW, that Tony Robbins offers. And if you can do it in person. Now, I did this back in November of 2015 in Los Angeles with Michael Bressler, who's one of my clients. He's one of the investors in the fund I was at. He gave me a free ticket. We had a blast. Thank you, Michael, for changing my life. And I went to Unleash the Power Within in LA. And it was unbelievable. It's 4 days. And, Tony doesn't talk the whole time because his voice is kind of in rough shape sometimes. But on the last day, on Sunday, he had us all write down our goals. And then at the end of that goal setting session, he said to us, I want you now to set a deadline date for one of your goals. And you have to set deadline dates, otherwise you won't get it done. Quick side note. Elon Musk once said, if you set a 3-day deadline, you'll get it done in 3 days. If you set a 3-year deadline, you'll get it done in 3 years. And so Tony Robbins, when he asked us to set a deadline date, I did that for my book, my first book, which I've been writing for years. I wrote down that I would get this book done in 2 weeks. Then on Monday morning, the next day, I went back to work in November 2015. And by noon that day, I told my 2 partners at the venture capital firm, I'm just not feeling it, guys. I'm going to go. Thanks. And they're like, cool, Chris, take as much time off as you want to. And I wrote furiously, just like Jerry McGuire did. And within 2 days, I had the book done. And I'm very humbled to say that Forbes called it one of 6 books that all entrepreneurs need to read right now, along with Peter Thiel's book, Good to Great, and other books that are way, way better than mine. But I set a deadline date. So I want everybody watching this, instead of taking my MBA degree program, take the Tony Robbins program, UPW, Unleash the Power Within. It will change your life. And it had such a prophetic impact on me that I decided I don't want to work in venture capital anymore. I love helping people. So I quit and I started teaching. And it was because of that Tony Robbins event. So everybody, if you can, go to UPW. Don't just do it online. Do it in person if you can. I promise you, it's life-changing. Okay. This call is sponsored by Tony Robbins. I'm just kidding. I'm not sponsored by anybody. I'm here to humbly help. I will never have corporate sponsors. Yeah. Okay. All right. Next up, Manos wrote, the fact that you put your heart and soul and everything in all your courses is commendable. Thank you. I do what I enjoy doing. And that's my passion, is to help all my students find their passion in life as well. So you can have a passion, not a job. Yeah. And if you don't know what your passion is yet, don't worry about it. It'll come eventually. It took me until my 40s to realize that I like teaching. The earlier you discover your passion, the better. Now, the way to discover your passion is if I tell you this. You've got 2 weeks off and you can't travel, you can't go to school, and you can't go to work. What are you going to do with your time? Whatever it is, that's your passion, your purpose, your raison d'être, and don't let anybody tell you differently. Yeah. All right. And then Manos wrote, really appreciate your efforts and help in all 1.4 million students, including me. Thank you for everything. God bless you, and thank you for being here too. Yeah. Okay. And then Peyton wrote, what time for a Zoom call? You know what I'll do, Peyton, is I'll open up Zoom in about an hour. Alexa, set a timer for 60 minutes.
1 hour, starting now.
And if you're still here, you don't have to be if you've got to go. But if you're still here, what I'll do is I'll open up Zoom for you. Yeah. God bless you. And Merry Christmas to you, Hannah, and your kids. Yeah. Okay. And then Rahul wrote, hey, Chris, what are your income sources except for the HEV MBA? Yeah, I don't disclose that, but God bless you. Thank you for asking. Yeah. But I'm going to die broke because every penny is going to go to build schools or scholarships. Yeah. And for those of you that sign up for my courses or my MBA programs, thank you, because you're helping to build schools as well. Yeah. And then Trent, hey Trent, how are you? Wrote, Merry Christmas, Mr. Chris. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Same to you. Moving on to Joe, who wrote, I'm a little bit confused on how to get discounts applied for enrolling in the gold and platinum course after being in silver. Yeah, so just email support@harounventures.com and then I'll help you out. Or what you can do is this. I'll show you. You can set up a Zoom call with me. I'll show you how to do that. All right. So you go to, go to harounmba.com/FAQ. Or actually, just go to, it doesn't matter. Go to any web page of mine, and I'm using a Chat GPT plugin. Okay, so you go right here, and then you click Set up a Zoom call with Chris. And right here, and please just do it if you guys are interested in the gold, platinum, silver thing, whatever. Okay, let me go back over here. All right. Next up, Manos wrote, thank you for everything. My mentor, God bless you all. And Haroun Education Ventures forever and ever and again. And then you wrote, see y'all next week and forever, except when GTA is out. Happy holidays. Thank you. God bless. It's all of you. I'm serious, man. When GTA 6 comes out, I'm not here. Yeah. All right. I'm a gamer. And currently I'm playing GTA 4 on my Rogue Ally, that little Asus handheld. Yeah, it's fun. Nico's the best. All right. And then MTI wrote, thanks, Chris. I've been waiting for your Python and AI course. Thank you for bringing us the best. So deeply appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. I can't wait to publish it. There's so much bad dad humor. I apologize in advance. Yeah. Like what I do is I use a lot of props, like a lot of Lego props. This is Python. I teach you pandas as well. My kid said this looks like it's from Minecraft. I also make it easy from an object-oriented perspective to learn Python. I use lots of props. Now, if you meet me in real life, and for my Gold and Platinum students, we have an annual in-person graduation here in the Bay Area. But if you meet me in real life, I'm a tiny man, really small. Yeah. With the worst humor ever. Yeah. Laugh at me, not with me. Okay. Next up, Dane. Hey, Dane. Dane wrote, my grandson is just beginning second year at Berkeley in computer science. Very cool. My son Andrew is in second year as well. You wrote, he has an opportunity for a summer internship at Sandia Labs. So do you jump at the chance? Or might this be a wrong road? Yeah. I don't know Sandia Labs, but there's nothing wrong with doing internships. It can only help. Yeah. Yeah. And if you want, share with me more details about Sandia Labs. And what I can do is I can do some due diligence for you. Yeah. But make sure to tell your grandson to network like crazy. Yeah. People want to help him. And all students, all you got to do is ask. Yeah. And my son was an engineer. He got into engineering, but he didn't really like it. So he switched out to economics. Yeah. All right. Next up, Anna wrote, Merry Christmas and all the best in the new year. Thank you for helping us. Thank you. Thank you for the heart emoji. And God bless you. Thank you. And every day when I get up, I thank God for 10 things in this order. Andrew, Matthew, Dylan, my wife, Christine, my mom, my dad, my brother, Jamie, my sisters, Katie and Elizabeth, and you, my students. Thank you. And try doing that. Try practicing gratitude every day before you get out of bed. I promise you it'll put you into a peak mental state. Yeah. Instead of focusing on what you want, focus on what you have. All right. Next up, Enerben wrote, and Enerben, I hope you join us again this week for the Silver weekly call. You wrote here, Chris, you shared some cool stuff for presentations in the sales marketing communication class in the MBA program. But do you think using a lot of transitions can distract the audience from the content being presented? Yeah. Yeah, so I think that lecture, what I did was I used PowerPoint and I used the 3D morphing feature. If you think it was overdone, then don't do it too often. But using animation in presentations can definitely keep people more engaged. What I recommend doing instead of that, though, is try to use props. So if you're presenting, I recommend buying a cool prop on eBay. Like say you're presenting on finance and you want to use a bond. You could buy, a World War II savings bond from eBay, using your presentation as a prop. And after the presentation is done, you can sell it back to somebody else on eBay. So it's like a 10% restocking fee, for example. Now, people will remember objects that you use. A lot of people might not remember the rest of this call, but they'll remember my Python thing here, Lego from Harry Potter, and this pencil. And when it comes to show and tell, when I was a kid, I don't remember what the teacher said, but I remember all the props that my buddies brought in for show and tell. We're much more visual today. So make sure you use props when you present. Yeah. It's fun too. Okay. All right. Next up, MTI wrote, yes, I've done it a few times, meaning Tony Robbins' program. Awesome. Love it. And I'm in his Mastery University. He is unbelievable. He really is. He's a gem. And then you wrote, now I'm looking forward to your MBA program. And I'm looking forward to upgrading from Silver. So grateful. Thank you. Thank you. And set up a Zoom call with me if you want to as well. All right, moving on to Jonas, who wrote, Professor Chris, why do they use a dog for the lows of the BCG matrix? As a dog guy, I dislike that. And then I like your emoji there too. Yeah, so the BCG matrix is the Boston Consulting Group matrix, which we cover in the MBA program. And it's basically a matrix that will tell you the growth of a product versus market share. So, and I love using frameworks. I have lots in my MBA program. But if a company is growing very, very fast and it has high market share, right, there's a quadrant for that. But if a company is not growing fast, but it has a high market share, it's a dog. Yeah, I don't know why. But even on Wall Street, they'll call stocks that don't do that well a dog. Yeah, I'm a cat person. Okay. And I got rejected by Boston Consulting Group when I interviewed there. I'll never forget that. Next up, MTI wrote, I watched Jerry Maguire last weekend on your recommendation, but I forgot why you recommended it. I love the movie, though. Yeah, and that was my first date with my wife, Christine, back in 1996. And we went to go see the movie, and it was awesome. It was awesome. Now, the scene I'm referring to is when he quits and he writes his business plan all night long, and he follows his passion. Now, the very end of that movie is crucial because when the credits are rolling, there's this older dude who's like a mentor who gives a lot of great advice. It is unbelievable advice. Watch it if you can. Yeah. God, that was years ago. I remember I went out to a movie with her. And then my company sent me away. I was at Accenture at the time. They sent me away to Barbados for 3 weeks to do some offshore banking work. And I had 2 or 3 dates with Christine, my wife. And I thought, this is the one. And so I sent her a dozen red roses. And then she didn't return my call. And I was like, I don't understand. And I talked to a lot of my buddies, their girlfriends and my sisters and every woman I could talk to. And I said, what did I do wrong? And they said, well, you don't send a dozen red roses that early. You don't act too eager. Yeah. So anyway, by the way, MBA, the MBA program stands for Married But Available. I'm kidding. This never comes off. Yeah. Okay. All right. And Icy, thank you so much for that Australian $8 donation that will go to the schools we're building. God bless you. Thanks. You wrote, what effects does the war in Palestine have on the world economy? The UN is pushing for a ceasefire and ships are coming under attack. Yeah, and the United States is sending their Navy, actually. And Peyton Callaway, who's in this on this call now, he used to work in surface warfare for the United States Navy. They're sending a lot of ships to the Suez Canal to protect U.S. ships there. So I would say, if anything, well, first of all, God bless anybody that's passed away or hostages. I hope that ends very soon. But from a business perspective, there could be an oil shock if things escalate. Yeah. So that's what I would say the biggest impact could be. Yeah. I hope there's a ceasefire, man. Okay. Next up, Sanjay wrote, hey, Chris, hope you and your family are doing well. Likewise. Good to see you. Moving on to Martin Communications, who wrote, hello, Professor. I have a predicament. Sure. I have 3 massive goals. One is business, one is the arts, and one is helping people. They are so different from each other. You somehow have been able to master finance, education, and programming, some of the best dad jokes ever, thank you, and all with humility. Any advice on becoming a master of several trades? Yeah. I hear you. And it's, I think if I spread myself too thin, you become a jack of trades, but a master of none. But the way to become a master of multiple skill sets is to be passionate about what you're doing. So everything I do it from the heart because I enjoy it. So with my Excel course, for example, I use this prop. Enjoy, and in my MBA program, enjoy creating with software, fun. Yeah. It's got to be fun for you. If you're passionate about it, then you'll excel. But you have to be passionate. And I really do believe that if you're passionate about what you do, you're going to be 10 times more productive than the average person in your industry. In fact, here in Silicon Valley, the difference between an average programmer and an amazing programmer is literally 10x. Why? Because amazing programmers are passionate about what they're doing. They don't have a job, they have a passion. Yeah. And then Sanjay wrote, I want to ask you, so many far-right politicians are being elected in a lot of countries. How does this affect the world economy? Yeah. In terms of my political preference, so now you all know exactly my political preferences. I'm just kidding. I was doing my Marcel Marceau impersonation there. And for those of you listening to the podcast, you wouldn't understand that. Yeah. We syndicate it through podcasts as well. So for me, it all depends on who the politician is, whether I vote Republican or Democrat. It all depends. I'm probably more of a libertarian at this point. I hate anything that puts a limit on my students' abilities to reach their full potential in life. Yeah. In terms of countries going more right-wing, I don't know. Like it happened, I remember, in Brazil, and then Lula came back out of jail. He's not as right-wing as the other dude. And then, Trump was more right-wing than Biden. So Biden is more left-wing. He's a Democrat. So I don't know if I agree completely, but I love you for that comment and the question. Thank you. Okay. And for those of you not familiar with the political spectrum, the way it works is this. On the right-hand side of the political spectrum is people that like very low taxes and small government. On the left side of the political spectrum is more government control, like communism, extreme democracy, etc. And I remember, I'm going to go there. I had a good buddy of mine I went to business school with, and he worked actually at the Boston Consulting Group in China. And I asked him, I said, when you grew up in China, did you guys study American history? And he said, yes. And I said, oh, wow, please tell. How do they teach it? And he told me that, well, on day one, the first day of American history, we started learning about the Great Depression in the 1930s. Yeah, it's interesting where they started learning about. Yeah. I don't want to get political, though. Yeah. All right. All right, next up, Hamza. Hey, Hamza. Welcome to the House of Habibi. Hi, Chris. Hope all is well. God bless. God bless you more. You wrote, what do you think of mixing cybersecurity with business? I mean, every company has got to have their own cybersecurity measures in place. What I do is this. Don't write down your passwords on your iPhone or anything, because somebody can, pick up your iPhone and search for the word password. What I do is this. This is the only way. And this is so old school. I have a piece of paper with all of my passwords, uppercase, lowercase, number, like I'll never, hash signs, all that. I'll never remember these. This is the only way to do it. Yeah. I also use a VPN, the Express VPN, because Marquise Brownlee, one of my favorite people in the world, great vlogger, recommended it. Yeah. In terms of investing in cybersecurity, the way I look at it is this. Whenever you look to invest in a company or a sector, before investing and doing your due diligence, you got to ask yourself this. In 5 years, is this company or sector going to be more relevant than it is today? And I think cybersecurity is going to be much more relevant along with AI in 5 years. So I love this sector. Yeah. In terms of my investments in the sector, I invested, the biggest investment I ever did was in Checkpoint, which is a software company based out of Tel Aviv. And I met with Gil Shwed, the founder and CEO, a number of times. CHKP. Yeah. Nice guy. Okay. All right. Next up, Sanjay wrote, is the end of hedge funds much nearer than we think? Yeah. So what's happened over the past decade or so is with the explosive growth of ETFs, which I'll talk about later on today, with the explosive growth of ETFs, a lot more investors, instead of investing in mutual funds and hedge funds, are just buying ETFs because the fees are much, much lower, right? And there's a higher correlation between stocks nowadays because of ETFs as well. So do I think that the hedge fund industry is going to be less relevant or more relevant in 5 or 10 years? I would say less relevant. Yeah. The best hedge funds, though, are the ones that are long-term focused. The ones that trade will never make it. Yeah. Okay. Then Sanjay wrote, I heard that Floyd Merriweather, made more than $2 billion in payments, but he bought less than $200 million home. Is this true? Or taxes that bad for athletes? Yeah, it all depends, right? And every contract these big athletes sign are very complicated and very different. So Shohei Ohtani, who just signed with the Los Angeles Dodgers for like $700 million for 10 years. A lot of it is deferred. And so he's not going to be making as much as you think today. It's going to be deferred into the future, which means the present value of $700 million is a heck of a lot less. So it all depends. It's all very complicated. And I wish Shohei Ohtani would have signed with the Blue Jays, my team. But I think what he did was he was kind of using the Toronto Blue Jays, as a way to kind of bargain versus the Dodgers, and you know what I mean. Yeah, breaks my heart. But I don't blame him, because Los Angeles is much closer to where he lives, or where he's from, Japan. Yeah, guy's amazing. Okay, next up, Sanjay wrote, I was reading an article that the acquisition of Twitter has gone so wrong in so many ways. Otherwise, there's so many mistakes wouldn't have happened. What are your thoughts on this? Yeah. So I'm listening to the Elon Musk book, which everybody should listen to. It's by Walter Isaacson. I'm listening on Audible. It's fantastic. In terms of what happened with Twitter. So Elon Musk bought the company. And one of the reasons he bought it is because he wanted to protect freedom of speech. And from his perspective, the whole woke culture thing got a little bit too extreme, per the book I'm listening to. But he upset certain people by making certain political statements, and other statements too, which are hurtful. And a lot of people have pulled out from advertising on Twitter, which is now called X for obvious reasons. You guys have all seen that interview that Elon Musk did recently, where he kind of called out and said something not that nice to Bob Iger, the CEO of Disney. Yeah. But I respect the fact that he believes in freedom of speech. Yeah. But what I've learned when it comes to social media products is freedom of speech is more of a government thing. It's not a technology thing. For example, YouTube, they monitor certain things. Yeah. Okay. All right. Johnny Grow lately. How are you? Great to see you. Yeah. And then Enerban wrote, thank you, Professor Chris. You're most welcome. And then moving on to Sanjay, who wrote, also, I read that millionaires don't use astrology, billionaires do. Did JP Morgan really say this? Also, I read there are books on finance astrology. I wonder what you think about this. Yeah. So I'm more of a, the way I invest is I'm very long-term focused, and I analyze the data closely. Without data, it's just an opinion and nothing more. And so what I teach in the MBA degree program is how to create and forecast financial statements so you can value companies based on your earnings estimates in 5 or 10 years. Yeah. In terms of JP Morgan saying that, I don't know. Jean-Pierre Morgan, for those of you not familiar with him, he was a massive investor in the United States. And he actually started U.S. Steel, ticker X, which breaks my heart. It just got acquired too. Yeah. And actually, J.P. Morgan, he partnered with Thomas Edison to start the Edison Electric Company. And then what happened was J.P. Morgan found out that Thomas Edison stole or was using some of the intellectual property of Nikola Tesla. And JP Morgan got upset about that, rightly so. And so what he did was he fired Thomas Edison and renamed the company from the Edison Electric Company to the General Electric Company. Okay. All right, next up, Ralph. Hey, Ralph wrote, hey, Chris, what is better, to trade futures or Forex? Yeah. I'd stay away from Forex because it's really hard to understand. I wouldn't trade at all, actually. So the reason that stocks go up and down in a limited amount of time is because of random stuff you can't control. So in the Forex markets, what's happening this morning is, the United States is talking about increasing tariffs on Chinese solar and electric vehicle companies. You can't control, you have no idea what's going to happen with saber rattling between Biden and, different countries. And that's what makes, currencies go up and down. We have no idea what the Federal Reserve is going to say next about interest rates, or the ECB, or the Bank of England, or the Bank of Canada, or the Minister of Finance in Japan. No idea. So trading currencies is really tough. I would probably stick more so with futures, but I'm not a big believer in trading. I'm more of a long-term investor. Yeah. And then Jason wrote here, I was hoping for Ohtani to come to the Houston Astros. Dude, your team is so stacked. It's unbelievable. Yeah. Verlander is the man. Yeah. Okay. Next up, Manos wrote, I read and saw somewhere that China controls all of cobalt and lithium in the world, whether that's from Australia or Nigeria or Uganda, because they have all the facilities to make batteries for EV. I'm not that well read on that. I'm very well read. I'm not that well read on that topic. Yeah. But I do know it's so interesting because when I went to Rwanda to build our first school, a lot of the roads were beautifully paved. And what happens is there's a lot of Chinese companies that will be in Africa, which is the final frontier, last frontier. And what they'll do is they'll partner with governments in Africa in order to mine commodities. And in return, these Chinese companies will build beautiful roads, infrastructure, etc. Okay. But I'm a big believer in investing in commodities because there's a dearth or a limit or scarcity when it comes to supply. You know, it reminds me of my grandfather, God bless you, Gramps. He used to say, Chrissy, buy land. They're not making it anymore. Yeah. And I'm going to be adding a real estate course elective to the MBA program soon. Yeah. Okay. And Sanjay wrote, as you said, Jim Simmons has been giving 66% average returns every year since 1980s. Why isn't he the richest person? Also not the richest hedge fund manager. Also, why is Ken Griffin the richest? Yeah, and I met with Ken Griffin before. I used to work at Citadel, which is a firm that he founded. And I remember once I had a half-hour one-on-one meeting with him in his office. And whenever I go into somebody's office that's more successful than me, which means every meeting I have, what I do is I look at their bookshelf, see what books they have. And then when I'm in the elevator on the way down after the meeting, I order those books without even thinking about it from Amazon. And so some of the books I saw on his bookshelf included the Damodaran books on finance. Damodaran is a great NYU professor, so of course I ordered those as well. In terms of Jim Simmons not being more wealthy than other hedge fund billionaires, he's a multi-billionaire right now, but he might not own a high percent of his company compared to other hedge fund billionaires. Yeah. But I love Ken Griffin. He's great. All right. Next up, Liesel wrote, I just enrolled in your Silver MBA degree program. Then you wrote, yay. And then you wrote, thank you so much, Chris, for everything you do for your students and your students still to be. Have a great and blessed Christmas. Thank you, Liesel. I'm looking forward to partnering with you and humbly helping you in any way I can. For anybody in the Silver MBA program, including you, every single Thursday at 10 a.m. Pacific time, I do a 1-hour Zoom call, and I'm looking forward to helping you every Thursday forever. And you can go to the first lecture in the Silver curriculum to get the link for every week's webcast. There's going to be one every week, except for the first week of January. We're going to be in Hawaii. Yeah. All right. Enerben said, goodbye, Chris. See you soon in Morgan Haroun Sachs. Thank you. And that was from one of my programs I had years ago. I think I have that one here. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take a very quick break, and I'm going to show you guys Morgan Haroun Sachs. Stay with me. I'll be right back. Thanks. Welcome to MHS. Congratulations! MHS stands for Morgan Haroun Sachs, which is the world's #1 pretend finance company. Come with me. You will go through our Financial Analyst Training Program Bootcamp. Here you will learn a lot about finance and investing with no theory. You will rotate through the many divisions of our firm, and we will discuss how to excel in 14 different financial analyst roles. I will also help you understand which finance role you're most passionate about and how to get hired and promoted in the industry. You will deal with the employees and clients of our firm in edutaining, meaning entertaining and educational interactive case studies, including how an IPO works, how to manage risk, and how to manage a portfolio. You will create incredible investment research reports that will impress the heck out of anyone in the finance industry. This course is for anyone who wants to be a financial analyst. or a better investor, stock picker, portfolio manager, and more. No prior experience is necessary. It includes a comprehensive Excel template to help guide you through our training program. In addition, I will teach you Excel skills so you can model financial statements and value companies from scratch. This course is based on my many years of experience. I'm an MBA graduate from Columbia University. I've gone through the Global New Hire Financial Analyst Training Program at Goldman Sachs in New York, London, and Tokyo. I've worked for top hedge funds, and I even started my own hedge fund and venture capital firms. This course is more than 22 hours long. This is the most thorough financial analyst and investing course available on the market. The student reviews have been amazing. Welcome to the Haroun Sachs training program. This will be a lot of fun. I'll see you in the morning. All right, thank you for letting me take a short break there. All right, next up I have got here, Sanjay wrote, I did the math for Jim Simmons' Renaissance Fund, 66% return. That's like investing $5,000 in the 80s and getting in more than billions. But why still the AUM, meaning assets under management, for Jim Simmons is well under 130 billion? Yeah. So it's hard to turn a big ship around. And so if you have a lot of money that you're investing, there's only a certain number of stocks you can buy. So if you're managing $500 billion, for example, that means that you probably can only invest in very liquid large cap stocks. But if you're a smaller firm, you can invest in smaller cap stocks and it will move the needle. And a great example of this is, I'll give you a venture capital example. Andreessen Horowitz, great venture capital firm here in the Bay Area. And I met with both the founders before. They're great. But Andreessen Horowitz invested in Instagram, which was a gazillion% return before Facebook bought in 2011. But it didn't move the needle on their fund because their fund was so massive. It was $1.6 billion at the time. And so bigger funds, they can't invest in as many companies because it will hurt their returns. If you're massive, you can only invest in very liquid investments. And if that didn't make sense, please let me know. I'm happy to give you plenty more examples. Okay. And then Will wrote, Chris, how do you keep getting younger and younger every webcast? Oh, God bless you. Thank you. Any advice for your students who are looking to get sharp like you? And God, thank you. Thank you. Flattery will get you everywhere. No, I'm just kidding. Thank you. I don't know. Okay, so here's a couple tips. I was telling my son Andrew on how to look younger when you get older. You can't reverse aging, but you can slow it down. The number one most important thing is sunscreen. The most important thing. You have to wear sunscreen. Other things I try to do, and I make plenty of mistakes, is I drink a lot of water as well. And I try to finish one of these every day. I don't usually finish it, but I try hard. I'm very picky about nutrition as well. So every Sunday, I order a ton of groceries from Whole Foods or Whole Paycheck. It's expensive, I know. But you are what you eat. And then what I do is every Sunday, I create 7 of these for the week. And what's in these is every antioxidant you can think of. So I put 7 bushels of kale in here. And kale, by the way, has a ton of protein. It's a super fruit or super vegetable. I also put broccoli. Yes, it works well when you blend it. This is juice. There's not much pulp in here. What I also add to this is raw ginger root. I put strawberries in. I put blueberries sometimes. And I try to drink out of a straw now so my teeth don't get all blue, so I don't look like I ate a Smurf. What I also put in it is aloe water, unsweetened. I put a mushroom extract. I also put in a scoop of whey protein in every one of these. What else do I put in? I put in flax seeds. If you're a guy, you have to do it. Okay. And then what else do I put in? Oh yeah, I put in fish oil as well, super fatty EFA. And there's 1 or 2 other items I put in. Oh yeah, acai as well, and sometimes pomegranate. And what I do is I fill it all the way up to the top. so it stays fresh for a week. And then in terms of what I eat every day, my first meal is actually a cup of coffee. And the coffee is about that much. And it's bulletproof coffee. Now, what I'm about to tell you, please do your research first and talk to your doctor and all that stuff. But what's in bulletproof coffee, and I'm sure a lot of stuff I do are placebos, but what's in bulletproof coffee is just coffee, which hasn't been processed. So there's no preservatives in it. And I love bulletproof coffee because there's no preservative. And with other coffee products you use, there's a lot of preservatives, which basically gives you the high coffee gives, which I love. I don't drink, I don't smoke unless I'm on fire. It gives you the high. But if there's preservatives, you crash afterwards. I also put into this MCT oil, okay? That's coconut oil. Be careful though. If you're going to do that, only put in a drop initially and then 2 drops next day. Work your way up to 1 tablespoon. Otherwise, you get stomach cramps. And the kicker is I put in a tablespoon of grass-fed butter as well. And it's out there, I know, but it tastes like you put milk in it. And for hundreds of years, people have been putting butter in their coffee or tea. And what it does is it gives you this unbelievable cognitive abilities. So you can speak gooder, and I'm very well read, as I mentioned before. But anyway, that's what I do. So that's my first meal of the day. So I finished it. I've been up since 4:30. Then what I do is I sip on this all day slowly. And I never eat unless I'm hungry. And then at night, what I do is I make a big salad. Yeah. Holy Chris. You talk a lot. Yeah. All right. Aside from that, in terms of slowing down aging or appearing to look younger, so when I'm on these calls, and when I've done a lot of my trailers and, you know, in Bakersfield, California, and over in Prague, which is the video I just showed you, the Morgan Haroun Sachs crap stuff, they put makeup on you. And I learned that from them. And anybody in television, like when I've been on NBC and other shows, whatever, being interviewed, that was me showing off. They put makeup on you. And it actually makes you look a bit younger. Now, I put makeup on just this, okay? It's called Stay Matte. And by the way, you have to match the color of your skin. I didn't know that. So when you go to the drugstore, if you're going to do this, you know, make sure to ask somebody to help you. But I only put this on. And all this does is it gets rid of the shine. And it makes my nose not appear so massive either. It doesn't shine as much. And I go through 8 million of these every day because my nose is so big. Yeah, it requires a lot. Yeah. But it stops you from looking shiny as well. I dye my hair. I always have. I've been gray since my 20s. What I also do, and transparency builds trust. I'm going to open up and tell you guys everything. Okay. So what I also do to make sure my hair doesn't fall out. And by the way, if you have older relatives that have lost their hair, there's a good chance you might as well. And if you do lose your hair, that's cool, man. Because Michael Jordan looks so cool, you know, with his bald head and stuff. But the way that I've stopped my hair from falling out, and I've got a lot of relatives that lost a lot of hair, is, and please talk to a doctor first before doing what I feel uncomfortable even mentioning it. I take finasteride. And so finasteride is a product that's in Proscar, which is also in Propecia for hair loss. So I've been taking that since my 30s. Please talk to a doctor first about that. I'm not, yeah. What I also do is I use Rogaine up here and here. I buy the generic version, it's cheaper. And I do this. Okay, and this is out there, I'm about to show you, but all right. So this here, there's 3,000 lasers within this thing here. Yes, I'm a nut. That's what it looks like there. And it turns off when you take it off, so you don't get the lasers in your eye. And I wear this for 6 minutes every day as well. Again, a lot of the stuff I do has probably got placebos, right? And this will stop hair loss as well. Yeah, so, yeah. But I'm thinning up here, which is why I've started to comb over, like Krusty the Clown. Yeah. All right, other ways to stay looking young. Let me think about this. Oh, yeah, the most important one, stress. don't freak out about stuff. And for those of you not religious, earmuffs right now if you want. I'm opening up. This is me. But I don't worry about things because God already knows what's going to happen. And that puts me at ease. So if you've had a setback in your life, and we all have, professionally, don't worry. Because many years from now, you're going to look back on that setback and say, thank God it happened because I was guided in a different direction. Yeah. Those stones weren't roadblocks. Those were stepping stones for you. So frustration can really lead to breakthroughs in your life. Yeah. So anyway, I don't worry about stuff. And Winston Churchill, who's a very positive person, he once said, I met a man on his deathbed who talked about all the worries he had in his life, none of which came true. And Dale Carnegie once said, it's not work that kills you, it's worry. Worry destroys you. You know, Hakuna Matata. Don't worry. Things are never as bad as you think. And whenever something bad happens to me, career-wise, whatever, I always stay positive. And I ask myself this, what's positive about this? It's kind of like when the stock market crashes. What's positive about this? Well, you could buy stocks cheaper. That sort of thing. So I would say a positive attitude really helps you a lot. And a lot of people that live well into their 100s, you know, are just kind of chill, right? Part of it is diet, but part of it is not stressing out. And I remember many years ago, I was watching National Geographic, and there was a cheetah that was chasing a gazelle. And they put heart monitors on the gazelle. And they realized that when the gazelle was being chased, it was running for its life. And as a result, its immune system temporarily shut down. Its reproductive system temporarily shut down as well. And the reason I mention that is because as humans, we're only supposed to feel that stress when we're running for our lives, when our lives are being threatened. And I've had a lot of wonderful friends, you know, that have tried to conceive, and it's stressful when you can't get pregnant, and they're really stressed out, and then they adopt, which is a beautiful thing. And then after they adopt, they're so happy with the child they adopted that they get pregnant. So I would say probably the biggest thing that ages us all is stress. But don't worry, because God already knows what's going to happen. So every crisis is an opportunity. And when life gives you lemon, you make a lemonade. And these are, by the way, my cargo pants. I love my Lululemon stuff. You guys can't see me from the waist down. So, yeah. Okay. All right. All right. But McLovin, Will Baldwin, great to see you, brother. All right. Gursimran, first time I've seen you. Hope you join us again. Welcome. Hi, Chris. How are you? MC, Martin Communications, wrote, by chance, we'll be offering a tax strategies course in the future. It's included in my MBA degree program. Yeah. And Sanjay wrote, how did it feel to be in the same room with Ken Griffin? I was in a room with him lots of times at conferences and stuff. I remember once I sat beside him at the annual, there was a 3-day weekend retreat. And that was April of 2005, I think. Yeah. And Alan Greenspan gave a keynote. Yeah, it was great. Yeah. Yeah. But no, I've got a lot of respect for him. Yeah. He's great. All right. Next question is, how do you improve goal setting? I'm bad at setting and following goals. Yeah. Number 1, you set a deadline date. Number 2, you vocalize those goals. You tell your friends or people you trust, your family members. So every time you see them, they'll say, well, how's that goal coming along? Now, I did that with my book years ago, the first book I published. That's me when I was younger. Yeah. I told all my friends and family members, and I'd be at Thanksgiving in Canada, which is 6 weeks before American Thanksgiving, because, the harvest is earlier, it's colder there. And my family would ask me at the time, how's that book coming along? You got to vocalize your goals. Yeah. Yeah. And once you achieve your goals, set more goals. Because there's nothing more depressing than, after achieving goals saying, now what? Always push the goalpost out. Challenge yourself. Okay. And Farrah, great to see you. Happy New Year to you too. And then Ralph wrote, can you say that finance book again, please? Yeah. So there's a professor, just do a search for Damadorian. And whenever I search for it, I spell it wrong, but Google corrects me. Yeah. He's a professor at NYU. Yeah. All right. And then Renvir from Mauritius, great to see you. One of my silver students, wrote, Chris should be the head of every university. No, thank you. No. I don't believe in accreditation. Yeah. And that's one of the reasons I haven't accredited my MBA program. I could do it. I had consultants that I hired to look into it, and I almost did it. And I decided not to because I don't want governments telling me what I can and cannot teach. Traditional MBA schools teach you theoretical crap that is not relevant, or maybe it was relevant last decade or last millennium or last century. There's a lot of people like Seth Godin and others that have started online MBA schools. And I believe in not being accredited so I can teach you practical stuff. And everything in my MBA program, everything I teach, before I record each video, I said to myself this: can my students use this immediately, take their career to the next level or not? If the answer is yes, I published it. Yeah. And I keep adding to it as well. So every year I add tons of electives as well. The next big one I'm going to be adding is going to be the Python elective. Yeah. Okay. Okay, and MTI wrote, it's hard to turn a big ship around. I think that's why IBM split into IDM and Kindry. What are your thoughts? Was it a good move? Yeah, don't really know too much about that. My wife works at IBM in marketing. Yeah. But IBM's strategy over the years was actually brilliant. And if you want to learn about how to restructure a company, there's a great book by a former McKinsey consultant and the former CEO of IBM called Who Said Elephants Can't Dance? And he talks about the historic turnaround of IBM back in the early 90s. And his name is Lou Gertzner. I forgot his name for a second there. Yeah. But Lou Gertzner wrote about that. And what IBM did was they used to be in the computer market. They used to sell PCs, which is very low margin. And they decided, screw it, man. We're going to be in the software market and the consulting market as well, which is brilliant because it's higher margins. And so they bought a lot of software companies, including Lotus. I think it was WebSphere they bought as well. I think they just purchased, was it Web Methods? Yeah. And what they do is they use their consulting division to distribute those products, which is genius. Yeah. Okay. All right. And then here, Gertzner's book is awesome. Who Said Elephants Can't Dance? So funny. Yeah. I just talked about that. Yeah, very cool. But you wrote that before I mentioned it. Yeah. Maybe subconsciously I saw it, which is why I mentioned that. Yeah. Okay. And I went to school with his son who passed away recently. God bless him. Yeah. Andre, Pastor Andre, how are you? Andre is one of my platinum students from last year. He used to live in Brazil. He just moved to Queens, where he lives with his wife, his mom, and his wonderful child as well. Very inspirational. And I hope that your networking meetings for private wealth management are going well. If you want, you can also come on to the call, the 2-hour weekly Golden Platinum office hours at 11:20 today. Looking forward to helping as much as I can. Great to see you as always. Yeah. So Andre wrote, what are your study methods? And how do you retain the information? Yeah. So what I realized when I was younger is that the first hour of every day is the most important hour. You can retain a lot more information. So I would get up really early to study every morning for the GMAT, etc. when I worked in corporations. Then I realized something. I realized that when you study at night, say you study 10 hours at night, an all-nighter, well, that's less productive than the first hour of the day. And so what I did was I'm a biohacker. It was a brain hack for me. What I did was I realized that, hey, if I exercise all day while I work, it feels like I just woke up. So what I do is this. I exercise all day long. I'll get my 20 or 30,000 steps in a day, and I won't feel it. And my treadmill costs $299. I'm more than happy to show you a link to it if you guys want to purchase it. It's cheap because there's no bars on the side. And I've got this stand-up desk as well, so I can type and stuff. And so I walk all day. That's what I do. You know, the journey of a million miles starts with a single step. And so when I do this all day long, right, and I'll code or do my courses or one-on-one meetings, whatever. When I do this, I have this cerebral intensity to the extent that I feel like I just woke up. So this is my study method. And it's not like the fastest it will go is this. 6 miles an hour, I think. This is it here. So I'll walk all day long like this. It's cray-cray, I know. Yeah. Let me turn this off. Yeah. All right. The Nutty Professor. All right. And then Rahul wrote, what is your take on pursuing an online degree after high school? Yeah. So obviously I'm biased. I really believe in online courses. You can skill up very quickly from the comfort of your own home. But what I would do is this. And at such a young age, it's hard to know what your passion is. The earlier you find out, the better. I would set up a lot of networking meetings with people that went, I think, to your high school. I think you mentioned you're a high school student. Network with people that went to your high school. You can search for them on LinkedIn and set up informational meetings. Yeah, that's what I would say. Now, in terms of getting a degree, first of all, set up networking meetings to see if you can get that coveted job. And if you can't get that coveted job or change careers after tons of networking meetings, then consider getting an online or in-person degree. Yeah. Okay. All right. And then Renvir wrote, hey, Chris, what happened to your fund, my hedge fund? Yeah. Did you sell it? If yes, how does selling a hedge fund process work? Yeah. I actually morphed it into a venture capital firm and hedge fund. It was kind of a hybrid approach. And that's where I invested in Facebook. That was my first venture capital investment. Yeah. So actually my first VC investment was when I was 18 years old. I invested in a company in Canada called Spectral Diagnostics. Yeah. But yeah, and the reason I switched to venture capital is because I found it frustrating that I can make money if bad news comes out. I'll give you an example. So it was October of 2008, and the major markets were down like 30% that month. I was up 3% that month. And I thought, oh my God, I should be happy. But I was depressed because I'd come into work and I would hope to see bankruptcies announced by, mid-cap banks that I was short. And it wasn't a healthy way to live. Yeah. Okay. Next up, MC, Martin Communication, wrote one more. Sure, I'm always here for you. You wrote, do you have any opinions or information on the agenda of companies like BlackRock? Yeah. Biggest asset manager in the world. Like BlackRock trying to mold social ideologies by pressuring companies through ESG scores and other financial instruments. Yeah, ESG, for those not familiar with it, stands for environmental and social governance. It means investing in companies that don't do evil things. Yeah. I'm all for it, but it depends what your ethical code is. Yeah. So for me, I've been given plenty of opportunities to invest in marijuana companies over the years. And I could have made a lot of money from it, but I won't do it because I don't think that marijuana should be legal or drugs should be legal unless it's for medicinal purposes. Yeah. Yeah. But to each their own. Chacun son goût. Okay. Caroline was my French good there. Je veux faire le casse matinée. Yeah. Okay. Moving on to Lemon. I've got that U2 song Lemon in my head now. What do you think I can do to pivot from a career in technology into finance. I'm very interested in working in the investment banking space, but I'm not sure how to go about gaining and then selling my skills. Yeah, in Silicon Valley, we always say it's easier for an engineer to become a finance person than it is for a finance person to become an engineer. So what I would do is, you can take online courses if you want to, but I would network like crazy. And I had one platinum student last year in my MBA degree program that 6 months into the program, he networked like crazy, and I humbly helped him as well. But it was mainly him. And he was able to get a job in investment banking at Goldman Sachs at the associate level with Harvard Business School students in his start class. 2/3 HBS is BS. Yeah. But networking is key. That's what I would say. Yeah. Okay. And then Johnny wrote, juice microgreens up to 40 times nutritional density of the full-grown capacity. Also wonderful for antioxidants. Thank you. Tell me what microgreens are, because I might add that to my daily elixir. Yeah. Yeah. And if there's a powder version of that available, let me know as well. Now, for some reason, YouTube, this is crazy, but they won't let you paste in hyperlinks. So just tell me the name. I'd love to. This is how I learn. Thank you. When one teaches, two learn. Yeah. Okay. Sanjay wrote, do you believe in destiny? Like everything that's happening is pre-written. I mean, for me, it depends. Like, I'm such a positive person that some people have said I'm naively positive. But when something bad happens, I always say to myself, what's good about this? And again, I always tell myself, God already knows what's going to happen, which should put you at ease. And I believe, and this is out there, but it's me, I believe it's sinful to worry too much, because you're basically saying you're questioning your faith. And if I was an accredited school, I couldn't put God in the curriculum, but God belongs in every curriculum. Okay. All right. And then Mauricio wrote, I agree, God is guiding. We just have to do our part. Yes. Yes. Never lose faith. Yeah. Yeah. And faith is a euphemism for positive attitude. I've never met a successful person with a negative attitude. And everybody you hang out with should be positive as well. If you hang out with negative people, they'll basically tear you down. Yeah. Okay. MTI wrote Hakuna Matata as well. Thank you for that. All right. Why are weekly sessions named as work hours? Office hours. Yeah. No, the call is, if you're referring to the call, it's called weekly office hours. Yeah. Office hours, because I started doing this just as a way for my students to be able to ask me questions live. Yeah. And it's a way for me to engage, because when you teach online, you want that social interaction as well. It's a higher margin business for me just to teach online and not do office hours. But it's more fun this way. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. And if you, I really believe that if you chase money, you lose your dreams. But if you chase your dreams, you don't care what people think. That money comes accidentally. It always does. Yeah. All right. And then you wrote, Johnny Grow lately wrote, but then again, I really like growing stuff indoors. It might not be for you, but you can certainly scale. Yeah. I don't have any experience in that, but yeah, it's cool. And then Sanjay wrote, I saw that readers make leaders. Is that only nonfiction books or fiction books as well? I'm a murder mystery fanatic. Yeah. Yeah. I would say when you're younger, especially, I think it's important to read fiction books, because it'll help you be more articulate when you speak, when you present, etc. Yeah. And when I was younger, I read every single book that was made by, God, who is it again? Ken Follett. He was my favorite author. And Jeffrey Archer as well. And I'd always carry around a small Webster dictionary as well, just to look up words I didn't understand. Yeah. Yeah. But in terms of reading, who has the time to sit down to read? It's hard. So I love listening to audiobooks. Yeah. All right. And then MTI wrote, yes, I'm interested in the link to the $299 health hack. Thanks, Chris, for sharing. Yeah, okay, give me 1 second to tee this up, and then I will get this for you. Let me do a search. I'm not sharing my screen yet for privacy reasons. We had to put up cameras everywhere, too. Yeah, there's been some incidents. All right, give me 1 second. Treadmill. Here it is here. Good. All right, let me share my screen now. Okay. So, yeah. So this is the product here. It's 40% off. I highly recommend it. It's called Rhythm Fun Treadmill. So take a screenshot of this if you want. It's totally worth it. And the great thing about this is that's how I do it. I've got a stand-up desk as well. I've got a very big stand-up desk, like 6 feet wide. I thought it'd be cleaner, but I just have more junk on my desk here. You can put it underneath your couch as well. Yeah, all that stuff. Yeah. Okay. All right. All right. Next up, Jesus. Hey, Jesus wrote. I think I did a call with. I think you're from Barcelona. I think we did a call once, right? You wrote. I've been reading some of the readings you recommended. In a couple of weeks, I'll finalize the Carnegie book for Stop Worrying. And I'm in between a bull in China who said elephants can't dance. Which one should I read first? Yeah, absolutely. So for everybody in the call, the first book I'd read is the Dale Carnegie book called How to Win Friends and Influence People. Then the second one I would read, which you're alluding to, is How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. And then way down the list, I'd read the Who Said Elephants Can't Dance book by Lou Gerstner, Jr. as well. Yeah. Okay. And then Jason wrote, I use a product called Pro Greens First. It's a powder. Okay, let me take a screen print. Give me 1 second. Thank you for that. Yeah. All right, moving on to Ingrid, who wrote, what do you think of nickel, magnesium, cobalt? Are there investors in Silicon Valley interested in these portfolios? Yeah. I would say that Silicon Valley investors, if they're interested in venture capital, they'd probably be less so interested in investing in commodities, but more interested in investing in tech companies. Yeah. 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 Oh, thank you. Shibike wrote, drop a like on the video. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Question about NFTs and Blur, BLUR. I don't really know much about that. But in terms of investing in NFTs, so the way I invest or look to invest is to buy baseball cards or maybe basketball cards too. Because I think that, in 5 or 10 years, people won't be buying as many cardboard-based cards. Now, I'm a big sports card collector. A lot of it will be more virtual, I think. But make sure you look at the supply always. And the best way to think about, and that's the alarm for Peyton. So Peyton, let me turn on this the Zoom, see if you're still here, Peyton. I'll do this in the background here. But the best way to think about NFTs is it's kind of like a piece of art. So when you buy a piece of art, and in the bottom right-hand corner, it'll say the print, number 3 out of 300. Well, with NFTs, you want to make sure that there's a limit on supply, because like everything else, there's got to be a dearth or a limit of supply in order for you to prosper from that investment. So Peyton, if you're still on the call here, I just turn on Zoom. If you're not, if you can't come, I totally understand. Okay. All right. Now, what I'm going to do is, please keep typing your questions. I'm going to pivot for a second here, and I want to talk about two things. I want to talk about 5 investment tips, and then what I want to do is I want to pivot and give you all advice on how to get a promotion or a raise. Okay, it's a lot easier than you think. So please keep typing your questions. So what I'll do is I'll kick it off with 5 investing tips. So tip number 1. If you don't have time to do deep due diligence on thoroughly understanding a company, then just buy ETFs instead of buying stocks. And a great ETF resource is etfdatabase.com, etfdb.com. Let me show you the link for that. So let me go over here. Sorry for making you dizzy, guys. So what you can do is you can go to etfdb.com, DB for database, and you can screen ETFs here as well. So if you want to invest in Brazil, for example, you can buy ticker EWZ, right? So you click here, and I think everybody needs international exposure in their portfolios. You can do research here. There's an ETF for everything. Yeah. So if you don't have time, again, if you don't have time to do due diligence for researching stocks, just buy ETFs. Yeah. Never buy a mutual fund. Yeah. All right. Tip number 2 of 5. Be very mindful of expense ratios. So try to avoid financial instruments with high expense ratios, like mutual funds, which are a scam, because they can actually destroy your returns. And most mutual funds underperform a lot of the ETFs anyway, which have lower fees. Yeah. So what you want to do is you want to kind of look for expense ratios that are less than 0.5%. And what that means is this. For every $100 you invest, you pay less than 50 cents in fees per year. Now, most high quality ETFs, like the S&P 500 ETF, VOO, ticker VOO, have way lower fees than 50 basis points per year. And always do your own research. But for me personally, when I'm not sure where to put my money, I just keep buying the VOO. Yeah. Number 3 of 5. Always do your own research on stocks. And when you do your research on stocks, look for significant upside potential. And so what I mean by this is you want to aim to invest in companies that offer a substantial return on investment over the long run, like those with a couple 100% upside within 5 or 10 years. Otherwise, again, just buy ETFs. It's a safer way to invest. And make sure that if you do invest in individual companies, to do thorough research, and don't let anybody, including me, influence you in terms of what to buy, because nobody's smarter than you. So that begs the question, how do you conduct research on a stock? Well, never invest in anything unless you can read the offering memorandum, which by law lists all the risks and a lot of detail about investment. And you can get offering memorandums, like annual reports, etc., from sec.gov. Meaning, read the annual reports, quarterly reports, listen to the earnings webcasts, etc. For example, this right here is the investment offering memorandum for Meta, which is the S1 document for the IPO for Facebook. So I thoroughly read this before I invested in Facebook, on both sides of the trade, actually. And you get that from sec.gov. Yeah. And don't ever invest in something if you can't get access to an offering memorandum. Yeah. Quick side note. I hate to say this, but I got to be transparent. If a buddy of yours comes up to you and asks you to invest in their company, I want you to quietly think of this to yourself. Why am I so lucky to be given this opportunity? Well, it likely is because nobody else will invest. And people are weird. Friends are weird when it comes to money. Don't mix the two. Yeah, from experience. Moving on. So when looking at an investment opportunity, you got to ask yourself a simple question. In 5 years, will this company or the sector it's in be more relevant than it is today? And this will basically stop you from getting seduced into buying stocks that are cheap for a reason. You also need to create your own financial model and forecast the financial statements for the company that you're considering investing in. Then what you can do is you can value the company off of your earnings estimates in 5 or 10 years. And this tremendously helps you out too, to not worry about stock market volatility. Instead you can focus on the destination instead of the path and get sleep at night. And Warren Buffett, whenever he invests in a stock, he tells himself after he buys a stock, I don't care if the market's closed for 10 years. Now, in terms of how do we do thorough research on a company before investing? Well, what I want to do is I want to show you my 100-step research template. So let me show this to you here. It's in Excel hell. All right, and this is available to my MBA students. But what I do is I categorize things by looking at qualitative, quantitative, and then financial research. And each one of these steps, what you do is you enter in all these questions I ask you here. I know my face is covering it in the corner, but in the white boxes in the bottom right-hand side. And on every one of these tabs here, you can click here to watch a YouTube video on, how that works. And then the output of all this is three things. Number one, there's a dashboard here based on the information that you entered in. Number two, there's an executive summary, a one-pager that you can print, for example, like this, or say the PDF. And then number three, or threeth, as my son Andrew used to say, there's a detailed report, which is 150 pages. So always do your own research, okay? And this is available along with many other investing and business templates to students in my MBA degree programs. In fact, I just released an AI version of this product, which is only available to my MBA students as well. All right, let me go back to Big Chris mode. All right, so here's two more investment tips. And after I'm done with this, I'm going to tell you guys how to get a raise or a promotion. All right, number 4. If a stock that you love does not go up on many positive data points, like amazing earnings, etc., then it might be overowned. And remember that we want to invest in companies that other investors are going to like. I got to use a Canadian prop here. So Wayne Gretzky, who's my hero, Canadian, I'm proud to be Canadian, he said he was successful, humbly, not because he gauged where the puck is, but rather because he gauged where the puck is going to be. And we got to have the same foresight to invest in companies that investors are going to like. Yeah, and I could talk about catalyst investing if you want to in a lot more detail. Yeah. Okay. And we have to be very unemotional and a contrarian when investing. And so Elon Musk is very unemotional. And a lot of the best hedge fund managers in the world are unemotional as well. They see crisis as an opportunity. And Warren Buffett, he once said that, the New York Stock Exchange is the only store in the world where consumers sell stuff when it goes on sale. Think about that. Similarly, if a stock refuses to go down after multiple negative news releases, then perhaps it's found a floor. And that helped me a lot when I looked for shorts in the hedge fund industry. All right, lastly, tip number 5. Diversify your portfolio. Spread your investments across different asset classes and sectors to reduce the risk and increase potential returns. And so I never recommend having more than 5% of your liquid net worth in any one stock. And make sure to consider international equities as well. And so I recommend having at least 20% of your portfolio allocated to international investments. And you can do that through ETFs. And I show you the example of the EWZ, or EWZ as we say in Canada, for investing in Brazil. However, you also have to be aware of any restrictions imposed by governments on retirement savings programs if you invest outside of the country that you're based in, of course. But most importantly, the bottom line, you want to stay focused on the very long term and try to avoid getting swayed by short-term market fluctuations or irrational market behavior. And just try to maintain a long-term perspective when investing. Yeah. Okay. So please keep typing your questions. What I want to talk about is how to get a raise or a promotion. Now, when you're younger and you're in school, if you keep your head down and you get good grades, then life is pretty good. Then what happens is you start a job, you work in a company, and you keep your head down and you work really, really hard. And then one day you look around and you notice, hey, other people in the company that might not be doing as good of a job as you are getting promoted or raises faster than you. It's frustrating, isn't it? Do you know why they get promoted? Because they ask multiple times. And so anybody in a company that's in a senior position, meaning vice president or above, has asked multiple times to be promoted. Now, I know it seems uncomfortable to ask. Well, it shouldn't be. So how do you ask for a promotion or a raise? Well, you always do it in one-on-one meetings with your boss at the right time. Well, when is the right time? Well, let's say that you did an incredible job on something at work and your boss congratulates you. You immediately say, thank you. Please let me know if you have time for a coffee or a meeting. Then in the meeting, you say this, if true, okay? Our team has accomplished a lot, and I'm really proud of our accomplishments. As you know, it's expensive to raise a family, and I really want to provide the best standard of living that I can for my family. And I wanted to humbly ask you to please let me know what I need to accomplish in order to get considered for a raise or a promotion. Thank you. They will tell you, and then you write down everything they say, of course. Okay? Write down everything they tell you about what you need to accomplish. Then let's say 6 months goes by, and they congratulate you again on a job well done on something. Then you say thank you so much. Do you have a few minutes to meet? You strike while the iron's hot. Then in that meeting, you start off with bonding, of course, and saying something complimentary about the team's success, if true. Then you say something like, thank you so much for your time. And remember, about 6 months ago, we spoke about what I need to accomplish in order to be considered for a raise or a promotion. Then you say, well, I'm very humbled to say that I've achieved all the items we spoke about, and I'd love to please ask to be considered for promotion. And this really works. Again, anybody that's in a senior position at a company has done exactly this many times. Rinse, lather, repeat. You don't know about it, though, because these are always done in one-on-one meetings. If you want anything in life, you have to ask for it. And if it feels uncomfortable, then think about it this way. You could be hurting your family's quality of life by not asking to get a raise or not asking to be promoted. And your boss understands. They've been in the same position as you years ago. In fact, they probably asked multiple times to get promoted. Now, if you work in a big company, there's usually a human resources website that you can go to in order to find out what criteria you need to meet when being considered for a promotion to the next level. And if you get a hold of this document from HR, then please make your New Year's resolution to be attaining those goals, meaning the criteria to be considered for a promotion. And I'll get to your questions in a second, but one quick side note. Even if you're not up for a promotion, I still recommend sitting down with your boss every few months and asking for feedback in terms of how can you add additional value to your team. And by doing this, it shows that you're proactive and a team player, but most importantly, it significantly decreases the chances that you're going to be let go if downsizing were to occur. So please, and I say this with love in my heart as always remember to ask, how am I doing every couple of months? Thanks. Yeah. All right. Let me see if Peyton Kalawahea is on Zoom. Give me 1 second. Zoom. Dude, I can't find my Zoom. Here it is here. He's not here. Okay. All good, Peyton. I'll catch up with you another time, buddy. All right. Give me a second. Go back to Big Chris mode. Let's do this angle. Fun. All right. Okay. Rahul wrote, what are the courses coming in 2024? Yeah. In terms of the electives, we're adding the MBA degree program. Real estate. And anybody that signs up for gold, silver, or platinum. And I've got a 3-day sale. If you're interested, you can go to this link down here. But you get them for free. All my electives and future courses you guys get for free. Yeah. So real estate, SQL, okay, structured query logic, which is important if you want to access databases. We're adding that one as well. And I'm partnering with Luca Anderson, who's my brother, and I partnered with him on a couple of courses as well. We're doing one on Tableau, great company founded by Christian Chabot, who I met with before the company was public years ago. Yeah. We're also doing one on Power BI. And then a no-code one we actually just recorded, so we're editing that right now. Yeah. And a lot of stuff on APIs. And basically, since I started this MBA degree program, back years ago, I said from day one that if there's any new technologies invented that I think can help my students take their careers to the next level, I'll learn that stuff and add it to the MBA program for free. And that's exactly what we did this year with AI. Yeah. All right, so I got to wrap this call up very soon. For those of you that are in my silver MBA degree program, if you go to the first lecture of the curriculum, you'll see a link for Zoom. And we do our 1 hour Zoom call starting in 5 minutes. That's every Thursday from 10 till 11. And anybody in my gold and platinum MBA program, we do a 2 hour Zoom call every Thursday from 11:20 Pacific time until 1:20 Pacific time. And I've got a number of one-on-ones with my platinum students today as well. Okay. And Jesus wrote, you're from Madrid. I'm so sorry. I said Barcelona. Yeah. But I remember we had a great webcast. I really connected with you. Yeah. It's great to see you again. Yeah. Okay. Jason wrote, what sports card in your collection are you most proud of? Yeah. So it's 1977 Topps rookie card for Andre Dawson. Now, I have almost every single Toronto Blue Jays card in PSA 10 condition. I'm a nerd, I know. And that is the most expensive one. And the reason I have it, Andre Dawson played for the Montreal Expos then. And I have his bat actually right here. But on that card, remember back then they used to have 4 rookies on the cards, was a Toronto Blue Jays player. Yeah. And my mom bought me this for Christmas when I was a kid. It's a broken bat from Andre Dawson, who's in the Hall of Fame. They call him the Hawk as well. He played for the Expos. And I remember I had this in my office when I worked at Pequot. And Carson Levitt was my boss. He's great. And by the way, I'm going to bring Carson on probably in a month or so on this webcast. You can ask him questions. He was George Soros' right-hand man. And he made $1 billion in Qualcomm, and I think it was December of 1999 when he worked for Soros. And I had this baseball bat in my office. And 2007, when the All-Star game was here in San Francisco Bay Area, Carson called me at home. And my wife was like, oh my God, Chris, it's your boss. I was like, oh, darn. WTF, why the face? Why is my boss calling me at home? I was nervous. And he said, Chris, I know you left this baseball bat in your office. And I just saw Andre Dawson at the restaurant I'm at right now. Do you want me to go to the office to get your bat to be signed? And I said, oh hell yeah. Thank God I'm not fired. And so he did that. So I've got it here signed. Yeah. And he hired me at Citadel as well. And I remember when I was interviewing with him, at the very bottom of my resume, and he asked me lots of questions, but at the very bottom of my resume, it said, interest, baseball. And we talked about baseball. When he saw it, he sat back. He's like, oh, I didn't know you like baseball. So we talked about baseball. So sports is great boardroom talk. Remember that. Okay. All right, guys. I know there's a bunch more questions. If you're in my silver MBA program, you can ask them in 2 minutes. If you're in gold and platinum, you can ask me at 11:20 today. Otherwise, God bless you all. Merry Christmas for those of you that celebrate Christmas. I love you all. Happy holidays too. And I will see you next Thursday. And quick reminder, the first week of January, there's no call. And also the 6 weeks in 2025, there's no calls because I'll be playing GTA. All right, guys, God bless and thank you. This is a really fun call. Great questions. Thanks. Hi, I'm Chris Haroun. And this MBA degree program is not what you think it is. It's better. This program is more than 25 years of business experience, all rolled into one easy-to-access online program. I've sold over 1 million courses in every single country. I've worked at Goldman Sachs. I have an MBA from Columbia University. And I've worked in the venture capital, hedge fund, and consulting industries. I've also started many companies, and my courses have been featured in Forbes, Business Insider, CNN, and NBC. If you're ready to nail your next interview, get a better job, get a raise, start that business you've always dreamt of, improve the one you currently run, or better manage your personal finances, then this MBA degree program is for you. I can't begin to tell you how comprehensive this program is. It's got everything, including more than 300 hours of on-demand video. I would have to do one of those dramatic opening title crawls from a certain space movie just to show you. And check out all the amazing reviews from students who have already enrolled in this MBA degree program. Last but not least, there is a 30-day, 100% money-back guarantee. And because you can access this program from any device, meaning a desktop computer or a laptop computer or a tablet or even your smartphone, it means you can comfortably fit it into your schedule. Even if you work full-time, it's no problem. So if you're ready to unlock the key to your potential, then I'll see you in class.